Hello, we are watching the Sony TriStar Blu-ray of Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah 1991, and right now you should just be seeing that Sony TriStar horse with the wings appear. Not quite a unicorn. Well, things are about to get really, really, really weird. This is this is about as weird as it gets, this movie. I've heard it described as wild and woolly. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like a good description for this movie.
Do you know who described it?
I think it was like David Callett who wrote a book.
Wild
and Woolly. Apparently, yeah, this sub is reused from another film Toho used.
From Showa?
I believe it might be reused from The Return of Godzilla 1984, from like the Russian nuclear submarine. Anyway. And this is such a cool cold open too. Like it really makes you wonder, like, oh, what's going to happen in this movie?
Yeah, well, they already show King Ghidorah. Well, at this point, what was the last time the audience saw King Ghidorah?
I believe it was Godzilla vs. Gigan, 1972, 19 years earlier, right. Unless we're counting his own fighter. But
when he showed up to give Gigan the rub.
When he showed up, and in that movie, Ghidorah just flew away. Here, he's going to get decapitated. So, so this movie has everything. It has everything. It has time travel. It has a Terminator ripoff robot. One thing it doesn't have, though, is aliens. And this movie opens with a UFO, but there are no aliens. Apparently, in the Heisei series, the producer Tomoyuki Tanaka explicitly had a no aliens rule. He was just like, whenever scripts you write me, he's just like, no aliens. No aliens.
Wow.
And
that went out the window pretty quickly.
Yeah, as soon as he passed away, the first movie he didn't work on was Godzilla 2000. And the first movie he died, aliens immediately. UFO.
I just love it.
These are Anna Nakagawa.
So, this is interesting.
These are not
aliens. No, but here's the thing. They're throwing us. Because so you're watching this, 2020, first time Heisei's. You saw part 1. You saw part 2, and then all of a sudden, just throwing you into the Twilight Zone.
That's kind of true because yes,
Godzilla, first scene,
Godzilla 1984 and Godzilla vs. Biollante, those films are basically kind of like magical realism, right? They're like, okay, if giant monsters existed, what would the reaction of the politicians and the military and the governments actually be? They're such realistic movies, almost, and then they throw away that realism here and go for ludicrousness.
Oh, not only ludicrousness, but the protagonist is actually look at him. He's like a caricature. He's actually So
this is funny.
He's almost,
So this is probably the main character.
He is. And he's an extra in Biollante.
So in Godzilla vs. Biollante, this actor, he plays a guy who operates a Super X2. He's got maybe, 3 minutes of screen time.
But a lot of footage.
A lot of close-ups.
A lot of close-ups.
You could tell Toho wanted him to be a big star. I mean, look at this man. He's wet. His hair is wet. It's parted perfectly down the middle. It's that boy band hair.
Oh, this film is not only pandering towards aficionados of time travel films, but also at this point women.
We gotta get some women in that theater.
This is the equivalent of like a bikini clad woman coming down web. Like picking up the phone in the first second of
this is like Jason Momoa. It's like our main character is a shirtless bodybuilder male model. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and it's. I don't want to get sidetracked with this old man and his story at this point, but one of the things, if you actually pay attention to his relationship with the girl, is that she's asking to marry him, and he's kind of putting it off.
You mean the main actor?
Yeah, and the girl who works with him.
I guess his girlfriend is a bit of a minor role, but
very minor.
But
So okay, this guy, they make him out look like he's insane. He's going to a museum. His makeup, is just suggested, right? Obviously, there's something off, about him. They show people are very nervous around him. They're sort of afraid of him, right? They kind of walk away.
This film
doesn't give him credence.
This film, despite being so absolutely ludicrous, is still willing to tackle some serious issues and some real world issues. Specifically, Japan's legacy of rebuilding itself after their destruction and devastation at the end of World War II.
Yes,
and their losing battle. Around 1944 when they were losing that war, right?
Yes.
And the way they rebuilt themselves to be economic superpower, but maybe, as this movie questions, maybe too much of an economic superpower. So this movie talks about Japan's role in World War II, but it also talks about Japan's booming economy in the 1980s.
This was made in 1991, I believe?
Yes, that's when it was released, I believe in December, so
Okay.
right at the very end of 1991.
I see. So, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know when Japan's economic bubble
It
burst.
burst
Was it
immediately after this film.
Okay, so...
Or maybe as it came out, Japan's economic
right,
bubble
so
burst.
it was actually pretty relevant.
But yes, but this film was written at a time when Japan's economy was just going up and up and up. The value of stocks was going up and up and up. The value of real estate was going up and up and up. And around the time this movie was written with that in mind, that Japan was becoming too prosperous. They were selling so much technology to the West. They were selling computers, cars, watches, exporting it everywhere in the world. And the Japanese real estate kept going up in value. And for the last 5 years, 10 years, basically the Japanese economy kept improving. For 1964, it was just like a rocket ride up until 1990. It just kept getting better and better and better. And it was kind of a speculative economy. That the value of houses kept going up, the value of stocks kept going up. But I think at one point people said, "Why are these values keep going up and up and up?" And I think people got nervous and they started selling, and then more people started selling, and then more people started selling, and then the bubble burst because everybody wanted to take their money out. So, and apparently Japan never really fully recovered.
But does this film actually bring up that as a possibility? That
No,
the bubble's
no,
going to burst?
this film is
is
so
it
arrogant.
Is it like we've lost our... Oh, it is. You're right.
This movie is taking the attitude that Japan's economy will keep getting better and better and better, that in the future, in 200 years, Japan will buy up entire nations, and the enemy aliens, or the enemy future people of this movie, need to stop Japanese aggression or Japanese economic dominance. So, no, this film was sort of naively written with this attitude of oh, the good times are coming forever. In fact, they might be too good. It'll make the rest of the world resent us. And it's kind of ironic that, as soon as it was released, the bubble... Boom,
that is so interesting. Yeah. And I mean, it's not really that subtle. The villains are called Wilson, and I forget the other one.
Gretchenko, which is a Russian...
One of them's called Gretchenko.
Which is, I believe it sounds Russian, right?
Okay.
So you got the USA guy, the Russia guy.
I see. So basically the most popular depictions of Western forces uniting as a clear villain, too. They're literally grinning villains, right? I mean, ridiculous.
Well, so this is kind of interesting, right? So the villains, they show up, we come in peace when they arrive, right?
Yeah.
They pretend they're the friends of the Japanese people from the 20th century. Kenji Sahara, I believe. The lead actor of Rodan and many other kaiju films. But anyway, so this is you could say this was lifted from Invasion of the Astro Monster, 1965's movie, where the bad guy aliens in that film pretend to be friends with the people at the beginning.
Yes.
I like how they kind of tease that it's aliens here, just to pull the rug and be like, no, it's not aliens, guys. We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're right. You're like, well, it's like, here's the thing. If you're going to buy... I don't know if audiences would have bought that this was aliens. Okay, we're going with that. So maybe the switch to time travel was like, all right, we'll go with that then. It's like they were already on that wavelength.
Apparently, I think Tomoyuki Tanaka, right? He was just like, no more aliens, please, we've done it too many times. It's like, are we so creatively bankrupt? We're gonna just go with aliens again?
But they might as well be aliens. They're in a saucer, like a flying saucer UFO. I mean, you know how this film was inspired by Back to the Future. Part 2.
We gotta talk about that.
Well, okay, so
Biollante
was destroyed by...
Okay, Godzilla vs. Biollante did not do as well as Toho wanted. I believe it sold something like 2.6 million tickets in Japan. But the thing is, in the early 1980s, Toho re-released old Godzilla movies, and those films made over 3 million. Now, this actor... he plays Ichinose in Godzilla. In Terror of Mechagodzilla, he's also the main actor in Godzilla vs. Megalon, the actor in the glasses.
Oh.
So they were bringing back old Showa-era actors. They just brought back 2, Kenji Sahara.
Do you think this was done on purpose because the audience would have recognized these actors? And, the parents taking their kids. Like, it's this guy, cool.
I think, this was definitely throwing a bone to the old school kaiju fans. I think Akira Ifukube, the musical composer, he came back to do this movie.
Yes.
And he said he didn't want to do it, apparently. But apparently his daughter told him that, look, man, they keep using your themes anyway. Why don't you just take the paycheck?
Yeah, right.
And when he made his film, he said grandparents and parents and kids all came to him, and they're like, "Oh, it's just like the olden days, the music. Oh, you really made it feel like the classics."
Wow.
You know.
So this was almost the original Member Berries.
This is Member Berries.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, so
you know, but it totally is Member Berries. Like Biollante was trying to take it to a different direction.
So what I was going to say is, so Toho re-released Godzilla movies in the early 1980s, and the re-releases sold more than Biollante. And so basically,
that's a toy.
God's
so here, these guys, if I'm not mistaken, they get killed, and
never addressed.
They never addressed
brought up again.
Those guys never liked them.
I mean, that might give you a clue that the Futurians, which I hope they don't announce them, they don't introduce themselves as the Futurians, but I believe they do. That might give you a clue that the Futurians are not all they seem.
They're not our friends.
But that's what I was saying. Yeah, so Biollante didn't make much money, right? It was a new kind of monster. And, well, two things happened. This movie, they originally wanted to make it Godzilla versus King Kong again, which, you know, is another furious backpedal, saying, like, no, we're not doing these new monsters now. We're you know, King Kong versus Godzilla was the most successful kaiju film ever made. So I think Toho panicked so much when Biollante didn't make the money it wanted. They're like, oh, what's the most successful thing we ever did? King Kong? Bring him back.
Yes.
But it was decided that the King Kong rights would be too expensive to acquire. That would cut into the profits.
This seems almost too logical.
And let's be honest. But one of the things in the King Kong script that they wrote was that King Kong was supposed to die and be resurrected as a cyborg.
In this film?
In this film, they never made. And so they took that idea from the King Kong script and gave it to King Ghidorah to make him turn into a cyborg instead.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. But time travel. So this is true, apparently. There's an interview with the director, Omori, his last name, and he said that Godzilla vs. Biollante came out at the same time as Back to the Future 2 in theaters, and they were saying, like, we were wondering why our theaters were empty and everyone was going to see Back to the Future Part 2, and we decided it must be because people love time travel. And
they never loved it before, but this one... Like for this one release.
So Back to the Future
Part 2.
It
was a decade trend. We're talking
Back to the Future Part 2 kicked the ass of Biollante in theaters, and the moral or the lesson they learned from that is they need to do a time travel movie too. So the next Godzilla movie was a time travel film. You almost feel like they took the wrong lesson. I mean, the point is, Back to the Future Part 2 didn't beat Godzilla vs. Biollante because it was a time travel movie. It beat Godzilla vs. Biollante because it was a long-awaited sequel to maybe the most beloved film of all time. Everyone loves Back to Back to the Future Part 1 was the most successful film of the year that it came out.
It is. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone
everyone loves that.
Like, I don't think I've ever heard of anyone give Back to the Future less than like an 8 or 9. I'm just saying, like, everyone really is.
Toho didn't say, well, you know, we put it up against a sequel to one of the most popular films ever made. No. It was, hey, they got time travel. Right. That's why people want to see it. We need to throw some of that time travel into.
If this was made in 1981 and Empire had kicked the
Empire
ass
Strikes
of
Back.
Something that had come prior to this, and they're like, oh, we need lightsabers.
Oh, we need
Kaijus with lightsabers.
Kaijus with lightsabers.
That's the ticket.
That's good.
Okay.
This is Yoshio Tsuya, who's a longtime veteran of many Toho films.
Yes.
He's the leader of the aliens in Invasion of the Astro Monster. He loved playing these sort of villainous roles. Apparently, he really relished it.
Interesting.
So
he's sort of a tweener, but more of a face. In this was
film. He said this is his favorite role he ever played.
This one,
film.
eh?
Yeah.
That's a very emotional.
So he's the third classic Godzilla actor they threw back, but
in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, what's it to come back to it?
First 13 minutes that we've already seen 3.
This film, and by the way, how beautiful are these people?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
We're getting like, okay, it's sexy time in Godzilla.
No, but they're like, you know, almost like caricatures. Like they're like Ken dolls, like Squareface, right?
Yeah, the guy.
Oh, this is great. By the way, classic theme. Dun, 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 dun.
Rescore.
What is this from, though? Originally, this is from the Showas. I'm pretty sure.
I believe it's a military march. It could be Battle in Outer Space.
Okay, possibly. I always thought this was from the Showas initially, but okay, I might be mistaken.
I mean, it might have been. I'm sure it was reused in a Godzilla film as well.
It's great. Oh, you know what it is? No,
really
this is Destroy All Monsters.
Are
this
you
is,
serious?
This is the intro thing for Destroying Monsters. It's redone.
That's the only good thing about the movie.
But a lot of people, and I've read this in your books, those I bought them too on Kindle. Apparently, they not accused, but they were saying he recycled a lot of his themes. Like they're kind of remixes.
Almost all the themes in this film are
like
recycled. I know there's the famous scene where Godzilla looks at Mr. Shindo is his name.
Yes,
and that music in that film was. In that scene was taken from the Daimajin films that Akira Ifukube made.
Oh.
So he was taken from all his different scores.
Was Daimajin Daiei?
Yes.
Okay. There you go.
Yes.
I've never seen them ever.
I like these guys just strolling up to the aliens so casually.
Aliens,
bro.
Too funny. Absolutely.
All right,
absolutely.
Well,
to be honest, you know what? This scene, I thought of this scene when I saw Man of Steel, and they just sort of casually walk up to the aliens as they land, or the Kryptonians. Girl walks out. They just meet them.
Cool thing.
It's fine. You know what I mean? It's what they're wearing is ridiculous. Even like what? This is the future. They wear one-colored suits, green, purple, and yellow. Whatever. It's a cartoon, right? It is. Glen Chico. She's Japanese, right? It's fine.
This is like
the sound effect is really goofy here. Like, woo, 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 when they try to shake their hands.
This feels like old-timey, right?
Yes.
The 1950s had a lot of this kind of stuff.
Sorry.
A lot of 1950s American movies. The Day the Earth Stood Still, maybe most famously, but
right.
But so the whole thing with ripping off Back to the Future Part 2. I think his name's Kazuki Omori. Apparently, Omori was. We talked about this in our Biollante audio commentary, but Omori was obsessed with American films. He thought the Toho sci-fi epics were too old-timey and too wooden and too stilted, too many boardroom scenes or people just standing around. And he loved American action cinema. Apparently loved it. Right?
Terminator.
So in Godzilla vs. Biollante takes numerous cues from the James Bond films.
Yes.
And this one takes numerous cues from Back to the Future and Terminator. And I believe, he was willing to rip off Back to the Future because I think he just loved American films so much. And he always, he just thought they were more fast-paced, more cutting-edge than Japanese films and wanted to introduce that into his movies. Unfortunately, he maybe kind of just succeeded in ripping it off.
But what did he think that he was appealing to Japanese sensibilities, as if people were sort of leaning towards Western?
Well, I know Toho,
cinema or tastes.
Toho, Godzilla vs. Biollante didn't do so well at the box office, and Toho decided to keep it on.
But it didn't bomb, did it? Did it make it its budget back?
I wouldn't imagine. I think all the movies make money because they sell toys. Like it's all like that kind of thing, right?
Oh, okay.
But like it didn't make money. But they decided to keep the same director for this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think Toho thought that this director Omori had his pulse on like the cutting edge, on the youth. And I think Toho thought that his ideas, to like take inspiration from American movies was really cutting edge. But I watch it now, and I don't know. It depends how you feel about it. It feels very derivative. For example, the last film kind of rips off James Bond. This one, Terminator and Back to the Future. The next one, Godzilla vs. Mothra, which is what the director wrote the script for it, takes numerous cues from Indiana Jones.
Yes.
And the one after it, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla Part 2, it seems very heavily inspired by Jurassic Park, with the baby dinosaur and taking care of it. A lot of Western influences coming in.
Here's the thing. You talk a lot about Back to the Future. I think the only thing it really just rips off a concept. I don't think aesthetically, even like the way the film is done with the character, like it has almost nothing to do with Back to the Future. Like we don't have even the same dynamic between characters.
No.
It's not about that or rewriting history or it just has time travel. That's it. That's all they took from that. That's time travel.
They do try to rewrite history by removing Godzillasaurus from the explosion
okay, you're right.
not mutating him so Godzilla doesn't attack.
You are right.
But there is an interesting twist
of changing the present by changing the past.
So that was, but they actually, Omori, he actually said in an interview, like, we got inspired for this movie by watching Back to the Future Part 2.
Got it.
Like,
got it. No, you're right. I never. I guess I was just closed-minded. I didn't even consider. From midway. After the midway point of the film, it's really all about that.
History.
It's all about changing history, and then going back or to the future, and then bringing back a monster that will change history again Fascinating.
But you know, so
And it's a one timeline concept too, which is also interesting, right? It's like everything is just one, which causes massive problems in the narrative.
It's the narrative is so hard to dissect.
But in general, a lot of I've read this before, but you know, I've read that certain authors think that time travel is such a black hole. Like it's so tricky, and it can really ruin your story.
I guess what a lot of people think is a plot hole in this movie is so the Futurians eliminate Godzilla, right, by moving him off the island so he doesn't get mutated, doesn't become gigantic. Yes. But then when they come to the new future with the changes, people still remember Godzilla.
Yes. Yes, as if everything happened by Alante. And the rest of the series carries on.
And I heard a defense saying they got rid of the 1954 Godzilla who died by the oxygen destroyer, but they didn't get rid of the 84 Godzilla. Like,
wait a minute, I think you're right.
I think that's
I think you're right, because it is two different Godzillas. Yes, it is, yes. Yeah. Which, just like Raids Again originally was a different Godzilla. It's like, there's another one. There's another one.
That's right.
Okay.
And it might be a commentary on inevitability. It was inevitable that mankind would create a Godzilla with our horrible nuclear waste.
The inevitability is almost a punishment, too, because Godzilla's bigger and meaner than ever when he appears, right? He's worse than ever.
Yes.
And they cannot control him. Yes. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
I think he remembers being abandoned by humans as a Godzillasaurus. I think he remembers being nuked. Which some people might say that's why he obliterates Mr. Shin.
I have read that,
or not.
In one of the books, the critical analysis of Godzilla, it implied, or actually I think it directly states that scene is supposed to be that Godzilla remembers him, and that's why he screams almost like in agony. Like it's supposed to be a very emotional moment.
When they stare at each other, there is a flashback, but you wonder if that's the man remembering it or if that's Godzilla
remembering it. Yeah. Very interesting. But it's so they hold that shot. I mean, we can talk about that a little bit later. Fine. Yeah. But it's so focused, that scene, that they're having a moment. Like it's not like a 1 second done thing. It's like maybe 40 seconds.
So it's almost like Godzilla is tormented.
I see.
You nuked me, you bastards! You made me grow to 50 times my size. I was just a dinosaur, man.
To be honest, they saved his life. Let's just be honest here.
I was just a dinosaur. I was just chilling, man.
So what does this mean? That this is the original Godzilla?
Gosh,
but here's the thing. No, this doesn't make any sense. No, so if that's the original Godzilla, then what happens to the second Godzilla that ended up coming back in '84? In Return of the Godzilla, did he just never show up?
I don't want to think about.
You know what? Let's just. I'm pretty sure even.
We can get into it a little later. I think it does. We'll have the opportunity to.
So at this point, they bring him an artifact from the future, saying, "Listen, you wrote a best-selling book."
No, it wasn't best-selling. It sold quite poorly.
Oh, was it
that was one of the jokes.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, so I think that's the joke too. That he gets happy. It's like, it was published. Yeah, it sold nothing. Oh, like that's the Okay.
This man is a writer, ladies and gentlemen, and underwear model.
He
and a writer.
is, to be honest, I think he's very funny in this film. He plays this really aloof sort of, playboy. He's you go on the adventure with him, and he's so fun because he's just a bro. You know what I mean? Look at him. He's just so wide-eyed.
He's Dino Bro.
Here's the thing. He's wide-eyed. He's almost he's the stand-in for the audience in a really strange way because we can't really relate to him, but he's the only one we can relate to. And he's just so incompetent and in his own way. It's very interesting. So, okay.
Definitely Ifikube's music, right? It really...
Yeah. Now this... Oh, absolutely. I really think Ifikube's soundtrack is a highlight.
That's the Godzilla music, man. He's hitting it perfectly, right?
Well,
no, it's a heavily recycled score.
It is true, but it works in this film. There's a sense of of doom, impending doom with Ifikube's theme. Like they're going into this, and it's very cautious. The music, it's very interesting.
So it should be mentioned. All this stuff that you've just witnessed, right? The previous two films try to keep it in the real world. Try to keep it very serious.
Yeah.
And here they're just going zany. Like the wheels have come off. It's just like we try to make this for adult now. Yeah, actually, Godzilla they try to make it for adults. Godzilla 1984. They try to make it for adults. Godzilla vs. Biollante. And I don't think either of them did the kind of money Toho wanted. So here they said, you know what do kids like? Robots,
What do the parents really like?
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia. They can take their kids to this.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy is a legend in
He's a
Kaiju
legend.
fandom because he shows up to G.
Robert Scott Field. Yeah, he shows
Almost
up to G
all the time,
and,
apparently.
yeah,
When people love him.
I know
They love him.
We just got the Gamera box set from Arrow. Too bad he didn't pre-order it. Haha. Sorry. Inside joke there. But in 2003, Robert Scott Field, the guy who plays the cyborg M11, was even at G-Fest translating for the director of the Gamera movies into English, into Japanese.
Oh, the Kaneko?
No, the guy
the
Robert
original.
Scott Field. Yes, the original director.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. No, anyway, so he's really embraced being the Westerner in the Japanese film. He's really embraced this role. The guy who plays the robot, he appears in all the conventions, even translating for the Japanese directors. So.
He is. There is something about him. You know what?
He's just like, this guy's having the time of his life.
Okay.
He's just standing there. He's like, yo, man, I'm in a Godzilla movie. I don't believe this.
No.
Oh,
The
man.
thing is, okay, you said that these films feel like they're copying, Western films, but there's such a warped nature to these films, to this reality. This is like a fake Hollywood. It's like a weird
Fake
warped
Hollywood.
take on Hollywood,
Yeah.
and it's an early '90s interpretation of that. So it's even more warped. So it's fascinating.
Look at the main character with his popped collar and his red shirt. Like, look at the stuffed shirt bureaucrats.
I know he has
I
his
got my-
collar popped. It's
Look at
too
this.
much.
Look at these D-bags from the future.
Well,
I ain't buying
look what he's
this.
wearing. He stands out. He's wearing red, and it definitely juxtaposes to the brown, black, dark blue of the suits, right?
But this is like prime Showa goofiness.
Yeah.
They went for 2 serious movies. Now, I remember Tomoyuki
Yeah,
Tanaka did a press
absolutely.
conference after Godzilla vs. Biollante, and he said, we made a mistake with Godzilla vs. Biollante. We didn't give there enough for the kids to
Right.
like. This is pretty funny, right? He asked her if his book is a hit.
Actually,
He's so happy.
hardly anyone knew about it. So there, his reaction's
So
great.
nice.
It's really great. His fake smile, like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
That's okay. You're about to go on a time-traveling adventure with robots and
yeah,
psychic girls.
Okay,
we are going on a time-traveling adventure with...
and
Goddamn. Okay.
So I actually read this in a book.
That is...
This is in a book. I would have to cite this. Maybe I'll put the link below. But the book said that they ordered the wrong Dorats. What are they called? The Dorats,
Yes.
right?
So the
Dorats,
Toho
the-
Seno Designs.
The wrong
to the company.
yes, and they brought the apparently like the worst choice that they saw. They're like, no, that's the best. But they had to shoot that day, and apparently they just shot
the
it.
bottom choice of all the designs the company sent them. Like,
Yes.
and when Toho got it, they're like, wait, they sent us these?
Yes.
Not the others?
But
But they had to shoot that
for
day.
some reason, because shooting at the schedule just so tight,
okay.
apparently they just
Like,
had to shoot it.
So
It seems hard to believe, but also it seems totally believable as well, because you know that these
that's
films were
just-
really rushed.
That's just,
like 4-month productions, right?
That,
Like, guys, get it out, get it
yeah,
out.
that just feels like how large projects work. You get the materials you need in the last minute, and half the time they're the wrong size. That sounds like the history of everywhere I've
Of
ever
any
worked.
film, or
Any workplace.
right?
But let's look at this. Let's
Of
look
any
at this.
kaiju
Let's look
film?
at, so after trying to do the serious Godzilla 1984, which analyzed political tensions between America, Russia, and Japan's place in the world,
Mhm.
and Godzilla vs. Biollante,
In the
which showed
Saradia fake
which,
country.
yeah, which showed how different countries would fight over power, world power. Kind of trying to do a serious. Now we have you going on an adventure with a psychic girl, a cyborg, time traveling with a bunch of goofy-looking toys, sentient toys, and like this is where we've come in 2 movies. Like what? Like Wild and Woolly, or like all right.
This would be like Dark Knight Rises,
Yeah,
being like 1960s Batman
This
again.
is-
Like,
This is
what?
Batman. This is like we went to Batman and Robin. Like we went from Batman 1989 to Batman and Robin
Like
97.
straight
Like,
in one jump, like in one go, like bam, and it's Keaton like doing it.
So these were actual real U.S. Army
You know,
servicemen
it's-
stationed in Japan.
Yes,
This is the infamous Major Spielberg joke. I mean, I like it. Maybe in the U.S. dub, the acting's a little better.
I know. I think they keep the same recording. They even do the acting. Well, I mean, yeah.
Or the future, perhaps.
You know, well, okay.
The guy on the right is-
We'll let him hit his line.
We're being invaded by little green men from outer space. Let's just keep it as our secret. You can tell your son about it.
Pause.
When he's born. Major Spielberg.
Oh, it's like he hits. He calls him Major Spielberg like he knows it's the punchline.
And he says, "I will, sir," like really determined.
Oh
like,
my goodness!
Like this is happening. We're
But, like,
my son is making 30.
It's like he's just
close
calling
encounter.
him in their world. He's just calling him Major Spielberg because that's his name. But it looks like he's like Major Spielberg. Get it? It's his performance.
The way he does it, like wink, wink.
Woo!
So,
But okay. As a child, when I was a child,
this is amazing.
when I was, I don't know how, 10, whatever.
I was
12.
very intrigued by this plot when I was a kid. When I was like
a
9,
child,
10 years
I
old,
think
I was like, this is great.
This was my favorite of the Heisei Godzilla movies because, I mean, something is always happening and it's wild.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's no,
You don't even know what to expect at this point. Like, this is uncharted territory for the Godzilla franchise to have gone back in time, first of all. So casually, by the way.
Really stuck their neck out. And, of course...
This is good, actually.
So this really
this is a war film level good.
Well directed, yeah.
Yes.
Of course, Yoshio Tsuya, Mr. Shindo, showing him, I believe, 50 years earlier.
He has
looking
slightly darker hair.
Exactly the same.
Slightly darker hair.
The man is...
The music's very touching, I find. I find it shows a sense of...
So Japan
Japanese
was fighting, by 1942, Japan was fighting like a very defensive war. They knew they weren't going to invade the rest of the Far East anymore. Right? They were on the back foot. They were losing this war. Right?
Yes.
So this film, I mean, maybe it opens old wounds in the audience or between America and USA because it really shows the Japanese as, they're going to lose. They're dying. They're going to die.
But it's not only that they're dying, they're dying with dignity. They make a big point about that. And I think that's a huge... This is just hilarious. And I think this is what makes a lot of the Western Kaiju fan base, but particularly those from the 90s, like the ones who used to be into these in the 90s, they saw this as like The Room. Like, this is like hilarious. It's like Final Wars level. Like, lol, bro, this is too much. Look at this. Look at this.
It's just a bunch of really bad effects
it's
one after another.
I invited a few friends over to watch this for the first time. They'd be on the floor laughing. This is absolutely hilarious. And what is a Scouter, Dragon Ball? Dragon Ball would have been using Scouters by this point. Yeah, absolutely. So this is a total rip-off to Dragon Ball, I would think.
A little bit of Dragon Ball, a little bit of Terminator.
I can confirm. They used Scouters from the beginning of Z, so Raditz was using it.
A little bit of Dragon Ball, a little bit of Terminator, a little bit of Back to the Future, and a little bit of serious military real life.
It's a Frankenstein monster.
Is it a potpourri?
It's
He's younger, maybe a week younger.
Plus the couple of days. It's a nice shot. So, okay, interesting. There's a war scene here. Now, we've never seen this before in the Heiseis.
No.
A lot of the gunfire, it has like this sort of red popping effect, which I find to be a little bit cheesy. Like it looks fake.
Fireworks.
They're like shooting fireworks at each other, pretty much. So
Things
whatever. Whatever. Listen, I'll forgive it. I'll turn off my brain and just go. Yeah, they're shooting at each other. It's fine.
And,
this is actually pretty good.
Apparently, yeah. So one of the things Tomoyuki Tanaka, the producer, said there had to be. He saw the script and he's like, there needs to be a monster scene every 30 minutes. What the hell, man? And initially, Godzilla and Kaijus didn't appear until like the 1 hour mark in this movie, and the producer was very against it. So then they invented this Godzilla-saurus scene just to give you some monster stuff within the first half hour.
Even the biggest detractors of this film find this Godzilla-saurus to be a very impressive creation.
It's interesting.
From what I've read, like I'm talking about professional critics, not like IMDb, us, just like non-critics, right?
Yeah.
They're just saying, that this moment, and people who did like this film also really appreciate this moment Maybe see Fikube.
Wait a minute, did we just add dinosaurs to the mix? I believe we did.
Well, no, we knew that. I think they knew they were going to go see Godzilla.
Yeah, that's true. But, in our mix of time travel, Terminator robots...
But here's the thing, this is about, like,
psychic girls.
The magic of cinema is really dictated by expectation, but we know we're going to see a Godzilla movie. So he's like, oh yeah, he's in, finally.
It's
not,
just,
like,
the
jarring.
Thing is, no, it is maybe jarring, because you're like, Godzilla, he was... Like
he
a regular,
alive.
It's almost like Godzilla was a regular creature mutated by atomic radiation, right? Or birthed from it. But it was like, nah, he was already some sort of mystical fantasy creature to begin with, even before the nuke was dropped on him.
Yes.
Apparently, initially in the script, they wanted Godzilla just to be a T-Rex that survived.
Yes.
But then it was kind of decided that, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. He has a Stegosaurus spikes on his back, which real T-Rexes did not have.
Well, he's not supposed to be a T-Rex. They actually call it Godzillasaurus.
Right, so... I mean, you know what I mean? It's not like a regular creature that was mutated. It was a fantasy, ludicrous creature that was then mutated.
Really so wait, a lot of these deaths were cut in the American version, weren't they? The Americans being killed by Godzilla. Why not
I don't believe they were cut. Well, remember, this film never was released theatrically in America at the time. But I have seen on YouTube a news article on American News with American newscasters saying, the latest Godzilla movie is stirring up controversy by showing American soldiers get mowed down. Is this anti-Americanism? And it made the news in America. And to be fair, I think that was just an easy news story for them.
Yeah, that's true. Well, because the director himself, I think he actually responded to that, to those allegations. I'm pretty sure this is actually out there. Where he said, no, absolutely not. This is not anti-American.
Why?
We just make it historically accurate. That's all we try to do. The dinosaurs are attacking. He's like, what?
Dinosaurs attacking our boy!
He goes, dinosaur. He goes, what? It's just, his performance is wonderful.
Well, let's not forget.
This movie is so fun because of these cheese.
That's a dinosaur.
No, and then, take that, you dinosaur. That lie.
You dinosaur. As you're watching this, like really think about what you're watching.
Here's the thing. This movie has flown by. I cannot believe that 36 minutes have passed by. I'm like, all right, we're at 25-minute mark.
It's so wild, and it
just
doesn't stop.
This is cringe
I
when I see
read they used real orca, or not orca, but they use squid blood, I believe.
Oh,
squid! It's real squid blood being shot out of the Godzillasaurus.
Oh, isn't that Gamera's scream? No, it can't be.
Couldn't tell you. It does somewhat resemble an elephant, which I always felt Gamera did.
That's Gamera's scream.
Could be.
No, I've read this before that it's identical. Like it's just too similar to discount that.
I don't know, mate. Maybe everyone likes cutting some corners, or there's a point to it.
Or there's a point to like a hidden joke, maybe.
Take that, you dinosaur!
Here's the thing: this is a hidden joke. This is very subtle. Unlike Final Wars, where the boy literally throws a Gamera toy, goes, "Ew, you suck." And he throws the toy into the fire, and it does the Gamera roar.
I forgot about that.
In the fire, which is like the most moment I've ever seen. Like just.
Oh my lord!
In terms of bad taste, that Final Wars. I don't want to get too out of this film, but that Final Wars moment when he throws Gamera into the fire is like one of the most the poorest taste moments I've ever seen.
If you're gonna trash Gamera, you should probably do it in a better film.
That's what I mean. If you're gonna trash Gamera, don't do it in your 1 out of 10.
Yeah, Final Wars. Oh boy.
Okay, so Godzilla.
So you do see Godzilla sort of stepping on Americans.
And you feel sorry for some reason because he's injured.
Basically Godzilla sort of saves the Japanese army.
Yes,
here, right?
It's like a miracle. It's a miracle
for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly. Look, I don't think the Americans are portrayed as being psychotic or greedy or anything other than decent soldiers. They're just doing their job, right? So I don't think it's a disrespectful portrayal.
Well, I think they show. Here's the thing. I think they're slightly meant to be heels because they show them as being a little bit obnoxious. That take that, you dinosaur scene. He's smirking.
I honestly think that's a real army guy in Japan.
No,
and he can't. He saw the script and he can't take it seriously.
I guess so.
He's like, what?
I think no. You know what? I think these guys follow close directions, and I think they were overtly smiling.
They're bloody,
shooting. Yeah, they're bloody. They're shooting at this. Not defenseless. They're shooting at this animal, dangerous animal, and smiling as they're gunning him down. I
don't know if they're following the director's instructions or if, they They're laughing at the absurdity of what they're doing.
I just, what I would have given to be in their shoes, to
Oh,
have played
man.
these characters. I would have, I would have lived. I mean, I don't know. I would sacrifice a lot to go back in time and act it in this film or in any of these films. I don't know what it is. I would have lived in Japan and watched the show.
Lived in Japan.
So
yeah.
the Heiseis, when they came out, including the Gameras, I would have gone crazy watching the Gameras, the trilogy.
This is a bit serious, right?
It is actually, and it's actually his performance is very good. He's not handing it up. This is like he's playing it straight, and it is emotional.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think Godzilla dying is very sad too for some reason.
Yeah,
And they're just crying. And when he salutes him now and cries, I don't know. I always wondered if this touched a nerve in the Japanese psyche. Like, I'm a Japanese person watching this. What would they have thought?
It's
Like, it seems like it's hard hitting.
The interesting thing, and one of the most interesting things about this film is that the attitude towards Godzilla is so ambivalent. He is the villain, but you kind of have some respect for him, or maybe there's some good in him, or like it's kind of shades of gray. Essentially, they did the script in a very interesting way. That the first time
when
Godzilla,
he cries, look at this. This is incredible. This is like, it almost stops you dead, and you're like, yo, and it pulls you into the film and demands of you to treat it seriously.
I mean, there was that
in the goofiest of contexts.
Yeah, in the goofiest of contexts,
and it works.
There was
for some. It's Ifukube, by the way. I think it's all Ifukube and his acting. Like, if it was not the soundtrack or his acting, would not be the same.
They apologize to Godzilla for
They
leaving
do.
him behind, and then I mean, some people interpreted that Godzilla is saddened by being abandoned by humanity and won't forget it, and then attacks them later. But maybe that's just reading too much into it. Of course,
So
basically, this is the first film that sort of explicitly says no, Godzilla was mutated by USA nuclear testing. USA nuclear testing did a bad thing and unleashed this menace on the world. This film is explicitly pointing that finger.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think no other film has ever done that before Godzilla. I think 54 implied, but didn't fully.
Overtly
and this is
state.
they overtly stay. And so what they do here is they move the dinosaur off this island. I think it was Lagos Island. They move him off this island that gets nuclear tested on later, and they try to move him further away so that he doesn't get nuclear tested on. He doesn't become gigantic. He doesn't become Godzilla. Gets written out of history. The big menace of history gets written out of history.
He puts him underwater, I think.
Yeah, in a different sea. But then what ends up happening is that creature, sees a nuclear sub and gets mutated anyway.
Yes.
And I think I like that personally.
I did too.
I think it talks about like people using nuclear weapons everywhere, testing them everywhere. You moved them out of one place. Well, we tested the nukes over there too. We had nuclear subs over there too. Like, it's.
Right. But it's not an accident. They willfully transform Godzilla in the future to fight King Ghidorah, who, when they come back, we'll see, is happily destroying Japan.
Right. So basically, yeah. So to reiterate, the plot. These future people.
Oh yeah. And by the way,
Japan's economy goes so well, they start buying up other nations. So these people from the future want to stop Japan's domination of the world. So they decide to go back in time and create a monster that they can control.
And
destroy
it's
Japan.
a very cheap. Like the Westerners are being very cheap here. It's like you've lost. You have to use time travel to beat us. You know what I mean? You have to undo our success.
It is a very self-aggrandizing, slap yourself on the back
while making the villains seem petty.
And let's not forget the one villain that later turns good is the Japanese one as well.
Well, also the robot, but he's programmed by us, so this doesn't count. I guess he's not willfully turning on the Americans or the Westerners. Let's call them
the Japanese woman's, Emmy, right? Her
Emmy.
Her deciding to go against the plot of her villainous friends from the future, the Federation, it rings hollow to me. Because she's like, well, we agreed we would use King Ghidorah to destroy some of Japan or their economy, but you're destroying too much of it. You're bad. It's her character twist from bad to good. I don't know. I just don't buy it. I don't think it's well written.
I know. No, I agree. Okay, so we're still friends with these guys at this point. This is... He's gone, okay. So they've already got back to the present, right? Of course, and okay. This is so different from the first two films because I'm trying to consider that the next films didn't happen at this point, right?
Right.
Everything was based on the success of this movie. Mothra would not
This
have happened
movie
if this movie was not a
success.
massive hit. Massive, right?
So,
It was a huge hit, wasn't it?
well, I believe so. If Godzilla vs. Biollante sold like 2.7 million, this would have probably sold like 3.7 million. So it was just like, yep, we're on the right track
Right.
here, right?
We can make another one. Ghidorah.
And
shows
it's our buddy.
No, this is a big moment. Ghidorah hasn't shown up since 1972.
And when he did show up back then, he was kind of ratty and tattered
20
looking.
years since
Yeah.
Ghidorah showed up. Godzilla's most famed. Now, I was wondering, was he always known as Godzilla's most famed opponent? Was it from Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster? Was it from Astro Monster? Was it from Gigan? Like, when did that happen? Because I never saw Ghidorah as Godzilla's main antagonist. I thought, yeah, he's cool. Dragon.
After Ghidorah, like, what did Godzilla fight? He fought a lobster and a giant spider.
A squid. No, I mean a blob thing.
A blob thing. And then Gigan, who's cool.
Cockroach.
But no Ghidorah.
Cockroach.
So, yes, apparently this Ghidorah costume was extraordinarily heavy. The wings themselves were very heavy.
Really?
I believe they said the wires were always snapping, so the suit actor was terrified because the suit was almost too heavy for the wires at some points. And apparently he felt a lot of the weight on him.
Okay, what city is this, by the way? Because it's always interesting. These movies always focus on different Japanese cities. Mothra was very heavy on, I believe it was Yokohama, right? The ending. I forget which one was Nagoya. Oh, I'd love to know. I think it was. We'll read about that later. But okay,
Yeah, sure.
Where is Ghidorah now? And it's not Ghidorah. It's a Ghidorah. Actually, to be honest, in the Japanese, the Japanese pronunciation is always Ghidorah. It's never Ghidorah, right? It's Ghidorah. Always Ghidorah.
Yeah, I think they had the O. It's not Ghidorah. It's
Yeah, because a lot of I know a lot of Western fans.
they
They'll call him Ghidorah. The show us.
Ghidorah.
That's a really nice shot, by the way. We just landed in
that
the building.
looks like a toy. But they call it Ghidorah or Ghidorah.
But this is, I think that the quality of this is almost on the level of Biollante. At this moment, it's fine. Look at this.
Yeah.
The billboards look fine. The buildings look fine, I think.
Well,
by the way, this looks cool. Whatever. We haven't seen Ghidorah in many years. This is a big out of nowhere moment.
It was a compromise. I think the director wanted to do time travel. And he wanted to do his Western stuff. And the producer wanted King Ghidorah back to make the money because people liked him. And then the director said, you know what? Like, we'll put King Ghidorah, but he's not going to be a space dragon. He's like, I hate that space dragon idea.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. I mean, think about it. Like, how does he breed? What does he eat?
Yes, of course.
Anyway. So then the director came up with this idea of Ghidorah being mutated from the Doras, which the producer, Tanaka, hated, but went with it. And then apparently they were going to do another one. The producer wanted to do a Ghidorah sequel where the real Ghidorah shows up from space. Which was suggested instead of Godzilla vs. Mothra.
But they were like, hey, how about we make money instead and bring back Mothra?
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
So this is interesting because the idea is that Ghidorah is destroying modern Japan that they've all built, especially the old man, because he's played up as
So
he's very responsible.
He's the one who sort of
he's very
economically prospered in the last 40 years.
But he also
personally,
it's like he built this version of Japan. Right?
Yes,
they played up a lot like this is his doing.
Yeah, basically that dinosaur saved his life in World War II, and then he went on to become multi-millionaire.
And it's almost like he feels guilty for that. I'm not even sure, to be honest. I don't know. I don't understand Japanese intonation when I watch these movies. For example, not to go sidetrack on this, but I recently found out watching the Gamera 3 commentary that the teenage boy who sort of has a crush on Ayana.
Yes.
Well, his performance is apparently excellent. Is considered excellent, and apparently he's supposed to be super snarky when he talks to everybody.
So,
and that's why everyone's.
That's my girlfriend.
No, apparently he's just very sarcastic and snarky, and apparently it was he chose to play him that way, and the director. Kaneko loved that, but I didn't know that because I can watch the film, I can understand what they're basically saying, but I don't understand these subtleties. So this is interesting. So So what I'm saying is a lot is missed out in translation, right? I don't
So
fully understand the story.
Here, look, they're grinning while they talk about their evil
Oh,
plan.
of course,
These guys.
of course.
Kyushu, I guess that's where King Ghidorah
And they're
was.
arrogantly
No,
just
so
sort of-
now, so she was okay with them destroying Kyushu, but now that he's saying destroy Hokkaido, she's like, whoa, I thought it was going to damage their economy.
Except for Tokyo, we'll show the Japanese. Like, what?
So, like...
And look at him smiling, too. He's just very, very... I mean, this is like, at this point, for, the 6-year-olds, right? This is like, the way he acts, I'm saying. No, you're right. It's absolutely ridiculous.
They came here to warn the people, but she's the one that left the things behind. We're going to warn them with the...
monster?
A monster?
Yeah.
Was he just going to hang out in the background? Now, so we got... No, one thing, I think we talked about this in our Biolante commentary, but I'll repeat it. It's, these films...
So she's already turned face.
Yes.
Like, out of nowhere. Like, okay.
It's just, it's not, she's like, well, I was okay with them blowing up Hokkaido, but now, Kyushu.
And killing
but
all
now
those...
you want to blow up Hokkaido, too, like...
Yeah.
And then he literally tells her...
This shot here is like,
But and then he literally tells her, have you forgotten what her mission was? To, stop Japan from being all-powerful. And, like, yeah, have you forgotten what your mission was?
Right. This does not seem like a spur-of-the-moment
the interesting
plan.
thing is, like, are they villains? Or are they just doing what they have to do because they know what the future is going to be like?
They're villains because they're grinning and they're enjoying it. Or because they're confident about it.
Oh, second shirtless scene.
Again. Okay.
I'm sorry. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, this... Okay.
Oh, by the way, this scene I always thought was hilarious when I watched this film about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
He's drinking Asahi
Some
casually.
Yes.
Ghidorah should be like destroying Japan. Now the whole country should be in a panic, and she's
just
having a chat with him casually. Like nothing's going on. He's like listening to his answering machine, watching TV, like
having a beer.
He's
getting drunk out of fear, but it doesn't seem like it.
No, he's just chilling. Like he's just enjoying himself, and I don't know. It's just
maybe the title "Traveling in Time" will make my non-selling book into a bestseller. That's what he's concerned with right now.
Right now, Japan is being annihilated, and this is too funny. Like come on. I mean, and the way he's dressed, I don't know. It's like early '90s fashion.
I think I would watch an entire series of movies about cyborg M11 white guy rolling around, Robert Scott Field, and I think Toho missed out. Don't even need kaijus.
They should have brought him back from Mothra.
Don't know why.
My God. Okay. Look, they're just casually chatting, and
I am just
Japan's
shirtless,
under
drinking my
attack.
smooth
I doubt
Asahi
Ghidorah
beer.
is sleeping now, so he's murdering people as we speak. They should be on the news on every channel, and they're just having a conversation about
This is true. So,
but here's the thing: isn't this the theme that you set up? Japan getting too prosperous? So like, what if nuclear pollution ends up destroying?
Apparently,
us?
see, I also heard that in the USA in the 1990s, in 1990, they were actually writing articles saying Japan's getting too strong, their economy's doing too well. Like they were nervous about it.
Interesting.
And here, they're talking about, so this script is such a sign of the times because everything was looking up. And
yes.
And then the speculative bubble burst in Japan, right? Because all the stocks were going up, the values of land were going up, but it was all, people started wondering, why are they just constantly going up? I should sell now while it's still up. But then too many people had that idea at the same time, right? And I hear that this bubble never fully recovered, that the youth of Japan today, it's a country, right, where there are so many elderly people and so few people having children that...
they're not motivated to have more kids.
Well, the very few young people have to pay such heavy taxes for the very many old people. So essentially, their economic growth kind of cratered in 1991 and just stayed at a lower level. Here's our boy. So really quick.
I like how the film just cuts you back into this. Like, we're just having this conversation, which is an interesting conversation, because I actually enjoy listening to how they thought of themselves back then.
Yeah. So, apparently, the reason these films made so much money is because of the nostalgia.
Yeah.
So, you had guys who were, let's say 10 years old in 1972, and who saw Godzilla fight King Ghidorah versus Gigan. Now, in 1991, they were, let's say, 30 years old, and maybe they had, a 5-year-old kid of their own that they're like, hey, when I was a kid, I saw Godzilla fight King Ghidorah. Look, they're doing it again in theaters. Let me take you. You're the same age I was when I saw this. So a lot of this, they made money because having families, the huge, not even big Godzilla fans, like casual Godzilla fans who saw one Godzilla movie, 2, 3 Godzilla movies 30 years ago, saw Godzilla was back. They're like, oh, let me show the kids what I watched.
Didn't Mothra sell more than 4 million tickets?
That's right.
Okay,
yes.
it was like by far the most successful one of the
it
Heiseis.
It was the most successful, yes.
Yeah, right.
Appealing, I think, largely to a female audience.
Right, and very small children, I imagine. There's a lot of scenes.
These successes, Toho did a poll. They said, who are the most most popular monsters? And it was King Ghidorah, Mothra, Mechagodzilla, and Rodan. And the next 3 movies, they used them all.
They just used them all.
They just, like, you know, and it was largely...
Why did they just dump everything in 3 films? They could have saved Rodan for a different film. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't have to just... They could have had a set... Here's the thing. Rodan almost plays like the Bachelor character. You know, not really, right? But it kind of does in Mechagodzilla 2. I'm just saying.
I mean, Rodan is a little basic, right? A little primitive, just a dinosaur.
The second they made their own monster, Space Godzilla, and it has... I think it almost has nothing to do with the movie being pretty awful. It's just the fact that I don't know.
Space Godzilla is such a lazy idea.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Godzilla fights himself, but psychic powers and like, right. But so a lot of the reason these films were as successful as they were, it was nostalgia comes in waves, and I think people missed seeing these creatures for 20 years. And I think a lot of dads took their sons to see these films to see the same creatures that they saw as kids. So then when the Millennium movies came out, they weren't nearly as successful as this. I think it was only the hardcore Godzilla fans seeing the Millennium movies, whereas these films, they were seen by like just casual Godzilla fans who saw the Godzilla movies in the 60s and 70s, and now they were adults with kids of their own. It's like, let me take my kids.
Well said about the hardcore
that's my
fans, because no, I mean, I remember in 2000 and when the Tokyo SOS came out, 2004 or 3, right? 2004 was Final Wars.
Yeah.
We watched in Toronto at a UFC.
So this is a continuity, right? From 2 movies ago. She feels Godzilla from what happened.
Oh, from the last one. Yes.
Which I think never happened now because they rewrote history, or not. Doesn't matter. Please, sorry, go on. Yeah, 2003.
No, what I'm saying is what Godzilla fans had to do to watch Tokyo SOS when it's screened in Toronto. Our University of Toronto showed it in theaters, but it was like in a basement of a theater, like a 9 p.m.
It was the
TIFF. Was it? Okay, but it was like minus 30 that night, blizzard.
We went to see it.
And we walked in, and everyone in that basement was the biggest Godzilla fan. It was an amazing... It was like
we couldn't even find 15. The theater. We couldn't even find the theater. We ran into this guy, and he's like, hey, guys, we're looking for that Godzilla movie. Yeah. We're like, yeah, they used to to us. I remember he goes, I heard in this one they made Mothra's wings CGI.
No, it wasn't CGI. Okay. It was that they used some kind of fabric that made him flap.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we're in the right place. We're in the right place.
We found it.
Yeah, we found it. But it was. I remember that.
This guy
night,
just comes out of the shadows, like, "Hey, you guys here for that Godzilla movie?" Like,
so funny. It's so funny. And I think it was minus 30. He was wearing like a leather jacket and a Godzilla T-shirt under it, and he was a huge guy, like really, really tall.
Yar.
And but I remember everyone in that theater, it was maybe only 15 people. It was a very, very small crowd, but everyone there was like just the biggest Godzilla fan.
I loved that movie when we saw it.
Oh, we all had the greatest time.
And I think they even showed us the dub.
No. It was a sub. Sub. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah,
Sometimes.
it was subtitled.
I can't remember. Gotta remember the lines.
I don't know if they had even released Mechagodzilla on DVD, the first one. So we saw that film without watching the original.
Oh man!
And we were just, all right, you don't even have to watch the original. It's like, oh, he's back. Okay. But okay, whatever. Okay.
That's a great film.
The Kaiju stuff is excellent. I think it's really good. But okay. Okay, now we're about to get to one of the most iconic scenes in Godzilla joke fandom history, which is Terminator ripoff when M11 chases them down pretty soon.
I mean, I'm always happy. So that was the other thing.
Now,
yeah, that's the other thing that...
It's just boom, chasing. Boom.
That's the other thing that I think Kazuki Omori wanted to add into these Godzilla films. He wanted to make them more like Western films. He wanted to add action movie influences into them.
Yes.
I always thought Ifikube's soundtrack here is extraordinarily strange for a car chase. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. It is cool, but it's odd. But
you know what it is? It's almost climactic. And it's like, well...
Is he so casual when he's driving?
No, he looks so cool with his shades.
Darn cyborg! Stop that!
She's smacking like an immortal cyborg that's 1,000 times stronger than with their purse. It's hilarious. The music's quite it seems
Oh,
almost
I love it. I love it. So, I mean, this is one of the reasons I think I love this movie so much as a kid. There's just so much stuff happening.
Oh,
now,
that's so cheesy with the
it's
boxes.
Yeah, that's a Jackie Chan movie staple.
Yeah, the boxes?
In the 80s.
Crashing
Arbor
through
of
it?
God, absolutely.
I see.
The only weird thing is he screams before he sees the boxes, and he's a robot. We terminated territory now, baby.
This is definitely Terminator 1,
Woo-hoo!
right?
Yeah. Well, I don't think 2 had come out at this time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So he actually looks pretty cool, his makeup, to be honest. And now this is just, I mean, guys.
The only thing that even makes this work, if it does, is the soundtrack. Like, Ifukube rescued this, if he did.
If he did, even.
But,
like, at this point, the audience is baffled. And he even smiles at them like, hey, bro, you see what I just did? He goes, no way, turns around, stops the car, picks it up, and the protagonist's reaction is, I'm going to kill this guy. Okay. It's amazing. It's just... He's like,
does he, like, step out of the car to brawl this
he's like, yo, man, this guy... Look, right now, look. He's like, I'm going to go.
I don't know.
Yeah, you are going to...
He will rip you limb from limb. Nah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, we have to go back. So next shot, they're just back with him because let's just forget.
So this is the other plot hole. They take her back and like don't imprison her, and then she just kind of like she leaves the room, and then she just reprograms M11 to join her.
And they're so casual. He's literally leaning back on his chair, like just chilling. It's just wonderful. I think M11 is going to go prepare himself or something ridiculous. This seemed like such a blast to film. I would have loved, like, actually given up like half my year's salary to be in this film.
So, if I may, yes, it would have been incredible.
Incredible, like just like Crag Railing.
So here's what we come to. I think this is about to come up. This is probably my favorite plot hole in any Godzilla movie. And so at one point, Godzilla. Well, I don't think it happens just yet, but I already started talking about it, so I might as well continue. So Godzilla is reborn where the nuclear sub, when he attacks the nuclear sub, right? And he gets reborn, right? And at one point, these guys are going like, yeah, we're controlling King Ghidorah, he's destroying Hokkaido, and Godzilla just awakened. But he's doing our bidding too. He's actually destroying the other part of Japan. Wonderful. And then one of them goes, all right, like, bring them together and make them fight. And it's just like, why? They're both doing your bidding. One of them's destroying Japan from this side, the other one's destroying Japan from that side. They're both doing what you want. What do you mean? Make them kill one another, and like, there's no reason.
It's ridiculous. No, absolutely.
So here she just reprograms him, and they don't like arrest her or put her in a position where she can't reprogram
this technology. Like, this is like futuristic for early 90s technology.
Mini discs.
Like mini CD-ROMs.
Come on, they're GameCube games. That's Mario Sunshine. Just put it into his brain. Little Smash Bros. Melee. Yeah.
In 91, this is like GameCube level.
Yeah.
Okay, they just put a GameCube CD into his head, and he's fine. He goes, yes,
so
master.
She reprogrammed him to turn on them, but like they saw her betrayal, and they're like, I don't know.
Yes.
And you work on this robot. Don't reprogram him to turn on us, though.
Yeah.
Counting on you.
This is a pretty cool shot.
Godzilla already exists.
Yeah, why does he already exist?
I'm guessing, like, my guess is they got rid of the 54 Godzilla by moving him, but this is just the 84 Godzilla. The Godzilla, Godzilla raids again. I'm sorry.
I think you're correct, but by the way,
you can tell me.
The theme song. I think audiences. Here's the thing. This overrides your brain, your logic. You're hearing the Ifukube, and you're just like, forget it. It's fine. It's all good. It's perfect.
No, I mean, I want the monsters to fight. So, like, I think this is going to lead to the monsters fighting. So it's cool. Now, I believe in the original drafts, they wanted to actually have them trying to kill Godzilla with nukes, but the producer, Tomoyuki Tanaka, again said, no, we don't want Japan using those kind of weapons. So it has to be a nuclear submarine, and Godzilla has to attack it. Get out of here.
I just love his smile. I really can't right now. It's actually pretty funny. Like, it's comedy. Come on. Oh, God. A little gag there.
Okay, well, that's fine.
It is fine. It is great. It actually fits with his character because he's so like.
How wild is this movie? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think it's like 10 out of 10. 9 out of 10 wild.
It's very wild.
I mean, they don't get this crazy again until Final Wars.
I actually think you're right. I think Mothra, for what it is very grounded.
More grounded.
I think Mechagodzilla is very grounded.
Yeah.
Space Godzilla is ridiculous, but also grounded within its own logic. This is introducing new concepts every 15 minutes. that you've never heard
dinosaurs.
of. Oh no, it's time travel. Now there's a dinosaur.
But it also has some heavy themes, like
now that's King Ghidorah.
like
now it's future King Ghidorah.
But it has some heavy themes, like the reconstruction of Japan, and do we become too successful, and also World War II, and amidst all the ludicrous stuff.
But what I mean, I think you're right. There is a sense of.
I wanted to say.
Do I want to call it narcissism?
Maybe.
Like, well, what is this? Like, oh, we're too sick.
Yeah, we're too.
What happens
sick.
when we become too sick?
They literally have to go back in time to defeat us because they can't otherwise.
Because they can't otherwise.
Is he gonna hit it? Is he gonna hit it?
Yeah, he does. And at this point, you're watching this, and it's like, this is my favorite movie of all time.
So,
and Godzilla roars at the hell, going, "What the hell is that?"
Here's the thing. When you're watching this movie, and I'll give it maybe the biggest compliment you can give this film. It's when you're watching this movie. This is like an hour in. I don't know what we're in now, but you're not going, "Where's the monsters?"
An hour and 4.
They barely showed you any monsters until this point, and you don't care. Like, we had time travel, we had action scenes, we had You're not going, "Where's the monsters?" You're being entertained without the monsters. They managed to do it.
This, awesome Godzilla return cuts to a cool King Ghidorah chase scene by these jets, and the soundtrack is wonderful.
It's from Rodan. When Rodan really? Fights the Jets.
You're kidding.
I mean, it's re-recorded. Right?
I see. They did like a remix of it? I see.
Well,
it's pretty epic. I think it's a wonderful theme. Wonderful. Did Ifukube do Rodan?
Yeah, so Ifukube, I think, said he didn't have enough time on the soundtrack, so he was forced to reuse his flying. He's like, look, we had a flying...
But it worked. That's all people wanted. They wanted the member berries.
And that's why this film was so successful. It brought you... The music was back. The monsters were back. I mean... But
dude, this is a cool scene. Like, even if it feels half-assed and added at the end, like almost in post-production, it's cool.
You guys are dead. Don't fly in front of him. He's got the laser thing, the lightning from his mouth.
Right, just shoot from behind, like your fighter plane. You should know
how
to go behind.
To some training, bro.
Yeah, to go behind the enemy shooting.
Yes.
Right. Range.
Don't go in front of his lightning mouth. He's got wisdom to teach us. Remember Godzilla King of Monsters 2019? King Ghidorah's got wisdom. Yeah, what kind of wisdom he's got? How to shoot lightning out of your mouth? Like, I want some of that wisdom.
I leaned into you. Like, King Ghidorah's got a lot of that wisdom coming into the city.
He'll teach us how to shoot lightning out of our mouths. I'll take it.
That's too funny.
I can shoot lightning.
I actually think... I don't know if the face looks different from the Showas. I've always liked how
used to have like a puff of hair around in the Showas, and they got rid of the hair.
Yes.
But
is the face almost the same?
I mean, I'm not sure. I feel like the horns are more pronounced, or just like the horns like on the back of his head.
Interesting.
Are more pronounced.
So now this is one of the best shots of the whole Heisei series, I would say. When he goes on land right now.
Oh.
Ifikube's original, like. It's like, whoa. Oh. Was this in the original movie, this theme? I don't think so. This could be the first time this ever happens, this ever appears, this theme.
I believe it's used in Terror of Mechagodzilla for Godzilla.
Oh, maybe, okay. I think you might be right, actually.
This is a more slowed down.
Here's the thing. Godzilla's a heel, but you're cheering for him at this point. Like, you're standing up at this point, like, yo, this is so sick. He's on land, the music's blaring. So now, and she even does an ode to him now. It's like, he's bigger than he was before. Right now.
Yeah.
Right? It's like he's more awesome than he ever was. And I don't know.
That guy's like, I was in Godzilla vs. Megalon.
Look, they already set up the command station, right, for the final confrontation, of course. The government's ready. You know what? I always liked this set, but then years later when I grew up, I realized this is just cheap.
What do you mean?
The first battle to do this in a forest.
Yes.
I think they could have made this a lot more. I mean,
it's hard work to do those little trees, right? They have to glue the little branches on. It's quite the effort too, right?
Look, Godzilla.
So this is okay.
It just makes no sense.
Right.
It's like
unlike our age in the 20th century, there seems to be nuclear power everywhere. It didn't matter just what location we teleported the dinosaur to.
They're so primitive, they would have
Godzilla was an unavoidable event. We went to the trouble of getting rid of one Godzilla. A foolish era. There's no reason to say these primitive. Why? So they basically established that like Godzilla's ruining one part of Tokyo and Ghidorah's ruining the other part of Tokyo, and like they should just be happy to have them both ruin Tokyo for them.
I think
ruined Japan for them. So,
No.
but
okay, if you want to make some sense out of this, let them fight. No, if you want to make some sense out of this
Yeah.
in terms of what this movie's supposed to be, at least to give this a little bit of credibility, maybe they think, okay, Godzilla's going towards Ghidorah. Like, it senses him, and he's going after him anyways.
yeah.
So,
No, that's
let's
true.
have Ghidorah meet him here now. Oh, what are those strings hanging off of Ghidorah? What was that? Where's he flying? Alright, whatever.
He's heavy, man. He needs a lot of strings.
This is iconic.
So-
It's iconic. It's a huge moment.
So, like, people were waiting for this for 20 years, I guess.
Yes, it's a huge moment. There's no other. You're talking about member berries. What other major franchise could give you these member berries at this time? None. Think of it. None. On the biggest scale.
Like-
In Japanese cinema.
Or even in America, what would have been big in America that 91 that was big in 71? I can't think of anything at all.
Godfather. And they made it Godfather 3.
Oh.
So, yes.
That's a good point. That's a really good
I
point.
don't know. So, the battle starts. And by the way, this is one of the first instances ever of beam battle galore.
I hope you like beams, kids.
No, because the original,
Look, let's be honest.
Super X,
Yeah.
Super X 2, and Biollante at least had some kind of strategy. This is just like beam, not my beam,
Let's
now
be
my
honest,
beam.
That Ghidorah suit is cumbersome. It's very cumbersome, and there's nothing you can do with it.
He blocks
The
though,
only thing you could do is maybe have Ghidorah stomp on Godzilla as he flies.
which is what he does.
Yeah,
and,
all right.
and he does so vertically, obviously, because he can't.
Well,
do anything.
that's so cool.
That is a great shot. Great shot.
You know, flying and shooting beams.
He also
it's harder
stands
for-
there and shoots beams and flies and shoots beams.
It's harder for Godzilla. He needs to move his neck. I don't know, man. Maybe he could use his wings, flap them to create gusts. Or
No, is Godzilla taking damage at this point? He doesn't look very. He's
You
not
know,
selling it.
So, was this the film that introduced the sparks idea? When the monsters get
Sorry,
hit, they shoot
That
sparks?
shot is like from Star Trek, either 1 or 3. Okay,
Well,
I'm
you
not
could,
kidding.
You could argue it's a good use of primitive CGI that they didn't have the CGI down
I
yet,
guess
so they
so.
just decided to make the CGI represent like
Yeah.
an operating system.
Yes, because it's just what they did in Biollante as well.
But now it's people from 200 years in the future having the same technology they had in 1989.
Just
Don't think about it.
Stop. Stop.
It's like, hey now.
Oh, and look, we have
You guys
time.
even
We have
like
time for
Godzilla.
another action scene. Make my day.
Damn, bro. So I would say, of all the Hasties, all the 90s Godzilla films, this is definitely the most like the 60s, the most like the 70s, the most like the Showas.
Yes. Like, it was missing Megalon at this point. That's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Megalon would have come up at this point and be like, yeah, fine. Like, had Megalon popped up right up between them, we're like, yeah, sure. Where are the chips? let's do it. Megalon's back.
But okay, so that was an actual physical blow. Right. That was an actual
Okay, this is a
physical
nice
blow.
shot. By the way, Godzilla's in a ditch now, so he's actually in danger. And
Ew.
Ghidorah has him beat.
Oh!
Ghidorah starts stomping
That's
on
my
him, which is finishing him off.
Oh, that guy's great.
Oh, he's great in Mothra,
They
actually.
just put him everywhere to make
No,
like.
in
reaction.
this, he's fine, but in Mothra, he steals the show with his overacting. But okay, let's just... That old man. Make my day. Right, it's great.
Make my day.
I just... What is that, Clint Eastwood?
Yeah, I think from Dirty Harry.
He just quoted Dirty Harry. And I think the director just saw that film. Was like, I like that line. I like the way he says
It's a
it.
scene where the bad guy's on the ground about to reach for his gun.
Like, he might as well have just said, there can be only one. Like, yeah, the director saw Highlander that week. That he like, there could be only one. There can be only one.
Yeah.
And he presses the button. Like, okay.
Well, you know, come on, you gotta give it to them. This isn't pure beams.
No.
There's been some variety. This
yeah.
is, I believe, this happened in Godzilla vs. Gigan, and so this
Where he
is
throws Ghidorah like this?
like this.
This is-
Yeah.
This is a reference to that. So this is pure. Now we're actually like pure, unfiltered member berries at this point. Like,
Oh.
it's not. It's like literally copying
Oh,
the scene
yeah.
from
Oh,
the
yeah.
70s.
Oh yeah.
Like
Except, better.
is it better? Is it better? Because I always thought. Here's the thing.
No, it's not.
I watched Gigan on my own with a box set, about a year ago. I was actually pretty impressed with the final Kaiju battle. The last 40 minutes are actually
Inexplicable
pretty
love
great.
of Godzilla vs. Gigan is inexplicable. So what are we ripping off now? Oh man.
Star Wars?
Wow, I thought it was from Moonraker.
This is kind of Star Warsy.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Star Wars or Moonraker or something like that. Who are these guys?
Why did we build him so he can be so easily reprogrammed to turn on us? Oh man!
And why is he on? I love how he's just smiling, killing them. It's amazing.
Maybe they're just sound stunned. Oh boy!
You betrayed the Union. She really did.
But she betrayed you earlier, so why are you?
Oh, what you got for me, laughing man?
You know, before I die, I would have let an evil laugh like that. Like, just exactly how he's done it. Okay, so you're saying this Godzilla's a heel. So even if he defeats our Ghidorah, you guys are screwed. Fine.
Our job was a success. Oh, I love him. He's such a tool. He's such a tool.
Well, you know, the aesthetic is cool with the sparks behind them. It's pretty good.
This is good drama. It's actually good drama.
Yeah, and look, they even have a what is it called? Time.
Yeah.
What's it called in script writing? It's time lock.
Okay.
Which is apparently essential. This is great. Essential in any film, in any sort of drama or.
So these kids are cyborgs too, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah, fine. If you're gonna kill someone, kill someone. If you're gonna laugh.
So he defeats the other cyborgs, who are these two twins.
Yeah. At least they're not pointing in the air and screaming Gamera is her friend. Sorry. Yo, I can see we're not even doing a commentary now. Now we're just enjoying this. Oh man.
You're right.
Baby.
Mothra never gets to this level of ridiculousness. Okay, back to sick-ass kaiju action.
Anyway.
And he throws Ghidorah, and Ghidorah,
Ghidorah, use your beam!
No, I think Godzilla blows... Okay, let's see what it does now. He's walking towards him.
So,
So Ghidorah seems immobilized at this point. Like, he can't even get up. Okay, he just got up. He's flying back up. Godzilla actually has some expression, to be honest. I actually like the way he emotes
snarl, in
this film.
Well, so this Godzilla actor, Kenpachiro Satsuma, the first Godzilla actor.
This is the poster, by the way. No, not to interrupt, but this is the poster. Ghidorah wraps himself around Godzilla.
Scene was written after they saw the poster. They said, "That's so cool. Let's put that in the movie."
You're kidding?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh my god.
They did the poster first, and they decided to put it in the movie because it was on the poster.
So who made the posters? Because I'm sure he had all the Heiseis. They're all great.
I don't know his name.
They're all great.
Yeah.
They're all the posters for the Heiseis. When I go on the Reddit, a lot of people they comment on the Heisei posters being even the Millennium posters that are the most popular are just rip-offs of the Heisei posters, the hand-drawn ones.
Well, the posters were made long before the films, right?
Wow.
And, that's why even on the Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla poster, the design of Mechagodzilla is completely different than what he looks like in the movie. Completely different.
The Mechagodzilla poster, and I believe
93.
Space Godzilla, is shown as in the teaser. They do like a slow zoom in of the poster. So this is before production was even finished.
How could we mess this up, guys? Well, that's another story.
So what do? Hold on, they
warp the ship
into Godzilla, right?
That's cool. The foam's so cool.
It is. It is. Cool. He's like choking him out. It looks like he's gonna kill him.
Yeah, so Kenpachiro Satsuma's Godzilla.
No. Godzilla doesn't even do a beam here. He does this body key pulse thing, which is really a great effect. And I actually think it looks really good, to be honest. Godzilla blows his head off right now.
You know what?
Great effect, by the way. This is awesome.
Credit. You gotta give him some credit.
It looks great.
The King Ghidorah suit was very hard to do anything with. Extremely heavy.
Yes.
And they made it work. It wasn't just beams. They had to do... The little that the King Ghidorah suit could do, they had to do all of the little they could do.
Yes, absolutely.
I always like this fact that it's shown teleporting in chunks.
That is interesting. It is interesting. Well, because they
what do you think of this UFO thing?
They established...
Is it cool? Is it dumb?
It looks awful.
Okay.
They established that earlier in the film, by the way. That's how they teleport things. Like sort of a piece-by-piece thing. And look, it's even appearing piece-by-piece. Not a bad effect, to be honest. Like, listen, guys. Like, I'm here to destroy this critically, and I'm like, fine. This is okay. All right. This is actually pretty cool. By the way, this reminds me of, I believe, Destroy All Monsters, right? When Godzilla, when he finds the base in Mount Fuji, He destroys them. They open the shield, and he's
Oh,
like
yeah.
right in front of them. I think it's a reference to that. I might be mistaken.
Oh,
Kills them, which is awesome.
I don't think anyone was having a bad time watching this in the
No.
theater.
No.
I think everyone was having a good time.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, here's the thing. I've heard the Japanese audiences are pretty quiet in theaters.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
it's like that's how they show their reverence to a film.
Yeah.
But and I forget what film it was, and I heard about that once. That when they saw the film and they're like, "Oh, did they hate it? Oh, that actually means they like it." I think it was like Jaws or something.
That's pretty cool too.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
blows
great.
a hole in the wings.
So here's the thing. At this point,
The thing is, it almost feels like the movie's done.
When I
and
was-
then when you make a mecha robot, you don't even. think
okay,
it's gonna
I
happen.
exaggerate when I said I was 9. I think I was 11 when I first saw this. I didn't even know that the Hastings existed.
Okay.
Suddenly they show a bunch of Showas, and then they show this one
on
next.
television.
And I'm like, what? This looks like
On
modern.
States?
What is this? This looks like in the 90s. This is brand new. I was like 97, 98. And I was blown away. I caught it, to be honest, from the
Yeah.
moment that they travel back in time and see Godzillasaurus. Now, at
Oh,
this
okay.
moment, I thought the movie was over. I'm like, all right, King Ghidorah is blowing up the earth. Now Godzilla's the villain. Okay, that's going to be the film. When King Ghidorah comes back at the end, I flipped. I was like, this is incredible. I have never seen anything like this, even for Godzilla. Anything like this.
You know.
By the way, what are they here for? The military, like, what do they do? They're just commenting, like, yeah, he's walking, Godzilla.
Well, I mean,
Like, they're not launching a Super X3. They're not doing anything. They're not launching. I think. Hold up. I think they do launch lasers at Godzilla right now. They have a sequence where Godzilla attacks a city at night. I don't know what city it is. I want to pay attention now. And they attack him with lasers. So it's actually quite a good scene that's forgotten. Where Godzilla attacks a city for about 5 minutes at night. It's actually pretty well filmed with lasers.
oh.
Yes. Is it Tokyo? Oh, by the way, yes. This film has, well, some people consider this one of the most iconic kaiju battles. Unfortunately, I thought the final battle was pure beam, but whatever. They couldn't really move.
with the Mecha King Ghidorah
Yeah.
suit. Apparently, it was too heavy.
Even
It was so heavy.
So it was
was
heavy
immobile
for the standards of the original Ghidorah.
Yeah. So the original Ghidorah they had in here was
Was
extremely heavy too. Apparently,
Sapporo. It's Sapporo.
Yeah.
So then look at Japan.
That's the beer city, right? Sapporo.
That's where they fight in Gamera 2 at the beginning, or the middle point of the film, when Legion shows up.
Ah, come on! They're laughing. They're laughing.
By the way, I noticed that many times
times.
in this film. Actually, earlier.
But,
Great music.
Sapporo.
Mobilization of the JSTF.
So yeah, the original Ghidorah costume, the wings kept snapping off.
Masers.
Yeah, that's.
They
Ew,
here's the
here
thing.
it is.
Oh,
Here's your member berries.
By the
You
way,
got your
Showa
Masers.
fans, here are your Masers, which do not. Wait, I think they do appear in Biollante. I think they do.
Yeah.
I think they do.
Oh yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, so the cables kept snapping off when they had the original King Ghidorah suit fly, and it was very hard on the suit
Look,
actor.
That is a big scene. Like that's a Tokyo Tower. That is no small
win.
thing.
So yeah, when they made a Mecha King Ghidorah, the suit was too heavy. It was basically useless. It could only stand there and shoot beams, and
I see.
so that it just
This looks really
looks
good.
cool.
This looks really good, by the way.
it looks cool.
I think this scene is often
I
forgotten.
hope they don't come up with a Mecha King Ghidorah X Plus because I have nowhere to put that thing.
Does it not exist? Are you kidding?
It does not exist, the Mecha one. When it exists, I'll probably put it in your apartment.
I'll take it.
There you go. Proof. One day I'll play this back to you. You said.
This is interesting. Now, here's the thing. The sets here
Yeah, very
are smaller
Yeah,
than they were in 84, and the
Yeah.
Osaka sequence in
So
Biollante,
they made Godzilla taller. How do they represent him being taller? By making smaller sets.
which are coincidentally
Cheaper.
yes, good.
Yeah.
And it even fits. Good.
I'm not a fan.
Good.
I wish the sets in Godzilla 1984 are some of the most impressive things. I mean, the scale of it is some of the most impressive things you ever see in Godzilla. In Biollante too, very impressive.
Scale. Let's
Yeah,
be
maybe not the
honest.
detail work, sure.
No,
but-
because Shinji Higuchi.
Yeah, he worked on that.
He worked uncredited on Godzilla 84, and I read in a book that he actually noticed so many things wrong with how they filmed the kaiju scenes in 84 that he actually used that lesson to make the Gamera
Gamera.
trilogy. Yes.
It is.
He was like standing there like, this is wrong. This should not be here. This is how you do this.
Just seeing the Godzilla dwarfed by the buildings, it did make it kind of feel like it's And a monster versus man, the height of technology and machinery versus the height of nature.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see him dwarfed by the buildings. I wish they kept it up. Like in Biollante, the scenes where was it Osaka? When in the middle of Biollante, the 50-minute mark,
Yes.
when he invades the city at night.
It's Osaka.
It's the greatest kaiju scene up to that point
Ever. And I think in history,
and I think if they kept it up.
I mean, I don't think it's wrong for me to say that. Also, in history, greatest kaiju scene ever filmed. I believe so. Yes, absolutely. More impressive than the Biollante fight scene, either of the two of them, is that sequence, the Osaka sequence, which is sort of tacked onto the film, but it's wonderful. And he even destroys the Super X2, which is really cool. It was the finalization of their little arc. Now, okay. There's so much to take. Like, here's the thing. This film it's just so go with new ideas.
It's
new concepts, new scenarios.
It's just a very cool idea that Godzilla is heroic when he's defeating King Ghidorah, but then he immediately turns into a menace. So now they got to stop him. And what do? Well, they turn King Ghidorah into a robot, and now
they flip it backwards.
It's like they were writing this and they're going, well, is Godzilla good or bad? Like, do we just hate him? Do we have some sympathy for him? And they go, this is Larry, fine, let's just use that question to write the story.
King Ghidorah was already tamed before because he was controlled mentally by the aliens.
And interestingly,
Futurians.
If we can go back, King Ghidorah was controlled in 1968 and destroyed all monsters by the aliens there.
Right.
In Godzilla vs. Gigan 72 by the aliens there.
Right.
And in 1965, an invasion of the Ostra monster by the aliens
so
that movie
King Ghidorah
has a history of being controlled.
Up until GMK was like a mindless nothing.
A puppet of aliens or of future people.
So only in GMK does he act
I guess
of his own volition.
In the original, his original appearance, he's not shown to be controlled by anyone. In 1964,
yes.
Ghidorah, the three-headed monster.
Yes, you're right, because he's just sort of born out of the edge. He just
yeah.
comes out and he just does his thing. Which is, we know what his thing is.
His thing is flying and shooting lightning bolts from his mouth. That's his thing. That's his thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
he does do it well. I mean, what do you want?
I don't know. I'm going back and forth. Like it's
so now they're in the future, and this is so jarring at this point. Like we're back to the beginning of the film when they're having this exact conversation, and you should probably remember. That's what the audience would know. Like, oh yeah, I remember these words being talked about.
Yeah.
So they mention, okay, Ghidorah. They find him.
Mm-hmm.
He has a heartbeat.
He's still alive. Which it's been 200 years being not fed, headless. Still alive. He's tough.
He's tough.
I mean, this is probably stupider than him flying through space, which the director didn't want.
This actor is actually, he has only one scene, but I always thought he was pretty memorable as the sort of wise decision maker. Like he's the one who, has the final say. He's quite good.
So in this future, Japan actually was destroyed by Godzilla.
Oh,
she fast forwarded to the future, and this guy's saying they were destroyed by a monster covered in tire that they made themselves with all the nuclear subs and nuclear waste. So this is like the bad future.
Now, I want to point out something you said earlier. You said you were saddened that they didn't have the tall skyscrapers above Godzilla or King Ghidorah. But this scene, now, a lot of people consider this the most iconic,
it's quite iconic,
but this fight scene in the Heisei is the most iconic of the whole. It's in daylight, which is wonderful.
Which is rare.
Which it did not happen in the original. Biollante, he fights twice at night.
Very rare.
It's like magic hour and at night.
Yeah, Mothra, he only fights in daylight in the sea.
84, he fights him at night. They fight the final battle at night. Mothra, you're right, the sea with the main set piece.
The main battle's at night.
Mechagodzilla, they have a daytime battle, but they do it in the same set as this one, the forest. Same exact set, which is it looked really cheap for me. But whatever, I
believe in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Godzilla fights Rodan at night also, and then fights Mechagodzilla at night.
Absolutely.
And then
Space Godzilla at night.
And the Birth Island.
But here's the thing. No, but it's a very limited set in Birth Island. Just like a bunch of mountains and baby Godzilla. And Destroya.
All at night.
Well, there is the moment when Junior fights the younger Destroya. Actually, no, wait. When he fights the older one too, the final one, he gets killed. And I believe it's all in the daytime. And I think it's actually really good. He drags him around the baseball stadium across. It was very, very good. Now, here's the thing. In this scene, the buildings do tower Godzilla. And it looks wonderful. It is the last time in the franchise, maybe Mechagodzilla 2. Mechagodzilla 2, I think there's a few buildings taller than Godzilla. But in this one, they really... it's almost claustrophobic.
The Godzilla of the Millenniums, I think, went short again. Went like 50 meters. Not in all of them, some of them.
look,
You gotta take it on a film.
it definitely doesn't tower above Godzilla. Like, none of the buildings tower above him. I think even GMK doesn't tower above him, to be honest.
So
Okay, this scene is key.
This is considered by many people the best scene
In the
Godzilla
Heiseis.
franchise.
Or in the Heiseis, at least, easily.
Some people say Godzilla cries here. I'm not sure.
Even the books that
Yeah.
describe the scene were ridiculing this film. They were like, this scene, though, is great. I'm like, I never understood it, but I do love the music.
There was the interpretation.
The acting's incredible.
Once again, that Godzilla remembers being abandoned by humans on that island, and then remembers being moved by humans, and seeks to destroy them because he was probably happy being a dinosaur. Didn't want to.
Paul, they cut. Here's the thing: they cut from him, and then they show Godzilla, so you do not know.
But you see, that shot of the man saluting is from what a Godzilla would have seen.
That's right. So it's like, who has this memory? Both of them do, but Godzilla would have also technically. So they played as if Godzilla recognizes him. As if, it looks like his eyes are teary-eyed, right? Look at his eyes inside. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
But the music is so wonderful that it really just stops you dead. Like, wow. And he just blows him to hell. And he recognizes his fate, too. Like, he's like, I get it. Thank you. Like, thank you for coming back, and finishing this. Like, I don't feel guilty anymore, But
he did say he left his life back on that island in 1940.
Interesting. As if he should not have survived. Like, I'm a dead man walking, basically.
Like, he's on borrowed time ever since they were rescued by that dinosaur, which never should have existed.
He nods towards him. Yeah. He nods at Godzilla the second before he kills him. I think that is huge. It's not as subtle. It's not even subtle. Like, he's like, fine, do it.
I don't know why Godzilla would kill him unless he's bitter at humanity,
or he succumbs to his will. Like,
these films don't really tell you what Godzilla's thinking.
They
right?
doesn't.
It's like, why is he going to the city? And
you know what? Mickey would have been.
Why is he going to the city and blowing up the buildings? Does he enjoy it?
You know,
you know what I mean?
If we only had a psychic character that had a connection with Godzilla that could tell us this. If we only had that, there she is. What's she doing? Just hanging out in the background?
So it's like, right. So is Godzilla destroying the city because he was abandoned by humanity on an island? Because humanity fired at him when he was a dinosaur?
They don't explain this point. They're just like, this is what Godzilla does. He just likes to. I love this. This reminds me of '84.
Like, is he looking for food? No. Like,
technically, this is the first time Godzilla's ever attacked Tokyo. Technically. But this would have been in a series, the second time in the series, where he's in Tokyo now. But Tokyo's been evacuated, apparently. Right? Yeah. There's no one in the city. It's an empty city.
Not full heal.
Because it's an empty city. But there's a few comedy moments where there's a few reporters, right? They're like, yo, film him, and he just destroys the building. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere...
Now, this is kind of a reference to King Ghidorah's first appearance in 1964, the way he's birthed in a fireball.
Yes, I agree.
And now, so it's quite clear that...
But this is like pre-Evangelion, like mech. And it's kind of ahead of its time. I love that shot. Love that shot, by the way. Like, I know, people...
Was it Koichi Kawakita, special effects director, first worked on Godzilla vs. Ghidorah, which had a
he
more...
did this?
Yes.
What?
He was inconsistent at that point. But it had a morphing monster
shot.
that went...
Look, point of view shot of Ghidorah going around the buildings.
No, that's
challenging
awesome.
Godzilla. It's awesome.
Yeah, but
people piss on the Heiseis in the Gamera trilogy box set. By the way, they're like in the commentary. But this is like, but even they're like, but they're awesome. We know they're awesome, but
you know what? This one, like, I think they knocked it out of the park with this one. This one was at least creative.
Yes.
After this one, they start getting derivative. Like Godzilla vs.
I enjoy Mothra. I actually enjoy that. That movie has energy.
But it's
energy. But yeah, absolutely. It's like they're cashing.
It's highly derivative of 1961's
yes,
Mothra.
absolutely.
Same story.
Absolutely.
Greedy industrialists take little girls. But so yeah, Kawakita originally worked on Ghidorah, which was the first movie that had a monster that takes on many different forms. Biollante took on different forms. Yeah. This Ghidorah takes on different forms. Next movie, Mothra takes on different forms.
This is so creative. This is so creative. And the middle gold,
they have a different type of beam for the middle head, which makes sense, right?
Which implies that it's a more powerful.
And is this the first time they have someone controlling a monster from inside, which would then become a staple after this? That would become a staple, right? They would have Space Godzilla, people controlling Moguera, Mechagodzilla, people controlling Mechagodzilla, and then it would happen again in the the Millennium series. But this could be this would be the first example of this.
Essentially, I get the impression here is that Godzilla has one of the funniest hissy fits ever at this point. Right now, he just has a hissy fit, like I don't like this building. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Like he just pushes the building for no reason.
I think he's just like, "It's robot, no fair."
No, he's just annoying the buildings in his way. That's what it is. It's epic. Look, this shot is like wham. This is the most epic shot.
Becoming 50% mech is cheating.
But they imply that his beam is slightly bothering Godzilla, but Godzilla's beam is devastating to Ghidorah.
Yeah.
Like, every time Godzilla hits his beam, it's like, bam, kills Ghidorah. But Ghidorah is launching tons of beams, and Godzilla's still going forward, right?
Yeah. Does Godzilla need to charge up his beam or
Not
not
even.
even?
Not even.
No.
He just does it at his convenience.
yes.
It's the plot's convenience.
So, this film has the
Great
morphing
shot.
monsters.
These buildings look gorgeous. I actually think this is like, wow. This is the most impressive fight, I think, of the Heisei's, even though they barely do anything but should be.
Yeah, the actress who played Emmy passed away in 2014 from uterine cancer, only at 49. And I think she's 26 here, so
She's very young.
passed away quite young, yeah.
Well, she's very memorable in this movie, for sure.
She was, like, okay, I don't think the Godzilla series had... I mean,
huge bump here, by the way. It's great.
I think her motivation for changing from heel to face is not well thought out. Having said that, she is maybe the most sort of butt-kicking female that has existed in Godzilla until this point. I mean, the girlfriend in Gigan, but Gigan's a bit of a joke.
You're right.
Anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
But she's
proactive. She's taking control. And she's brave. She's fighting Godzilla face to face, fighting Godzilla right now.
They never had a woman like that before.
No. So Godzilla surprised her with the beam, and now this beam destroys.
I think that's a cool idea, just to have the beam shoot out of the rubble.
Yeah,
right?
I do too.
I do too. It's creative.
But Godzilla shows he's invulnerable. Nothing can beat him. Even Ghidorah. Ghidorah's screw at this point. He just keeps going forward, Godzilla.
But you see that Ghidorah costume's immobile. But, alright, fair enough.
There's a very cool attack he does here where she shoots her.
I think they make it work. I think they cover up the fact that the Ghidorah costume's immobile by constantly cutting to her reaction, so you don't think about it.
Very interesting job at this point.
They're doing,
They're trying everything they can.
Nah,
that is cool. That is cool. That is a great bump right here when they both crash into the building. It's like, if I was watching this in theaters in 1991...
that feels like that damaged Godzilla. That's that took that health bar down significantly, yeah.
If I was watching this in 1991 in Japan, I would have lost my mind. In 1991, for 1991 standards, this is amazing. In my opinion.
Right,
For a kaiju film. This looks great.
I'd probably rather watch this than anything that came out in American cinemas in 1991 that month.
Look at this shot. That's wonderful. He looks very cool. Godzilla moves very well in his suit. I love his design in his suit.
Yeah, I think they make the eyes bigger than they were in Biollante, but other than that, it's very similar, obviously.
So they obviously knew they had a good thing going.
Oh,
but they wanted to improve it slightly, basically.
Yeah.
So that's it. Ghidorah cannot handle Godzilla's beam. Boom. Crashes on the earth. Emmy should have wore a seatbelt.
Yeah.
That's a good shot. Even the parking lot, I'll suspend my disbelief. It looks, to be honest, here's the thing. The magic of these films, and I explain it to a lot of students that I teach, is in suspending your disbelief, using your imagination. But when you do that, it is magical. There is movie magic. The commentary, by the way, from the Gamera trilogy talks about that a lot. Movie magic is done if you, kaiju fans have to sort of work with the film. But the film asks that of you. So it's not considered... By the way, the voice is actually M11 in the ship.
Oh.
Yeah, she has M11 in the ship talking to her. His disc. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because she goes M11 earlier, we're together. Yeah, we are.
That's cool. She hits the switch and he just kind of...
And I like Godzilla emotes and are really whoa, this shot blew me away when I was 11.
Right.
And I still think it's really cool. I mean... And he launches the CGI thing. This is amazing.
It's something other than a beam.
Yes. And he's trapped, and all of a sudden she launches. This is a great shot.
It's like the Swiss Army knife. They're pulling out the new move so late in the game, right? Which is always appreciated. Yeah. So,
which also, by the way, it's almost wrestling booking.
Watching it on the screen.
Yes.
They didn't have the technology.
This shot is amazing. I don't know why I love this shot.
They didn't have the technology to have that crazy motion, so they showed it on the computer and then cut to it with the physical prop, which is done very well.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think all this looks great. And she lifts up. So
it's always hard to make Godzilla feel like an underdog.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, to be honest, here's the thing. They make it like an underdog, but they sell it in a way where it doesn't make him look bad. It's almost like wrestling booking.
Right.
Like, what do you do? Oh, he had a cheap move that Godzilla didn't expect, right?
Yeah.
So this is the only downfall. And they reuse this ending in Mothra, the next one.
Yeah,
They
with
reuse this
Batra.
exact same ending.
So yeah, when carrying Godzilla, make sure he's face down.
That joke is from badmovies.org, which is one of my... I love that joke so much. Like, lessons learned from this movie. When carrying Godzilla, face down. Remember, face down.
They won't learn. Next movie, Batra will be killed the same way.
This is such a nice bow, like, tie ending to the film. Like, okay, Godzilla and Ghidorah take each other out, but Andy survives. We had our cake and ate it too. Everything worked out. We didn't sacrifice anything. It's for the family. Right? And they all just high-five. Like, we did it. Arigato, Amy. And then Amy just jumps like a random, like, by the way, I'm your like great-granddaughter. Like,
Which
oh.
I don't think needs to be
Like, it has
there.
nothing to do with the film. Like, cool. All right. That's good to know.
That's why I owned your book. Can we keep the robot?
She's very memorable in this role, to be honest. Even though her character is kind of ridiculous, I think she's great. And this is very strange. She shows up out of nowhere, and just she's beside him. He kind of accepts her, like, okay, sure. Time warps, and I think the film ends right now. It assumes that maybe both of them are dead or what happened, and then Godzilla wakes up as if he survived, and it's a great ending. And it's just like, you want another one? Another one's coming. If I was an audience member berries, losing my mind at this point.
Yeah, Godzilla will be back in part 19, the quest for more money.
Yes.
Yes.
They're all the quest for more money. But
Yeah.
okay, you know what?
Alright.
Okay, final words. This film was very successful.
Yep.
And this film by itself, well, not really, to be honest. I think this film led to Mothra, which was a huge hit, which led to Mechagodzilla, which was
Yeah.
supposed to be the last one.
They rode the nostalgia train into the sunset while collecting their money. You know, they let you see all the monsters you didn't see for 30 years again. They weren't trying to give you new monsters. They're like, we know you like these. Come see them.
Mhm. And you know what? Here's the thing:
They
audiences
succeeded in making a very entertaining film.
audiences forgave. They forgave how wacky this film ended up being.
And
They-
something's always happening on screen.
Yes.
And they took inspiration from Hollywood, maybe too much inspiration, but something's always happening. Lots of action, monster and human.
It's very entertaining. So what you're
It's
saying
a real
is that
wild ride.
made a lot of
wild.
money, and it's
Yeah.
it's a crowd pleasing film.
Oh,
made a lot of
absolutely.
money.
Crowd pleasing, yeah.
I think the next three are very the next four are really crowd pleasing films. I think Death of Troy is the only one that has like sort of a damp ending, a dark
Mhm.
ending. But they're all very crowd pleasing films, but especially this one. It's just such a wild film, and it works somehow. It almost seems like it's a miracle that it works. It's like a conglomeration of like so many concepts. It could have been a disaster. Somehow they made it work. They edited it correctly.
Yeah,
Fine.
it's so many different concepts being thrown at you at once.
And you know what? Money talks. And at this point, this is great because
This was a desperate move. Biollante didn't make the money. They're like, we just have to go and put in the classic monster. But they didn't make the classic movie with it. I think they said, well, if you're forcing me to do that classic monster, I'm going to do all kinds of wild stuff as well.
Yes.
I think.
I think you're right. What else can we say about this film? It's a total 180 to Biollante. If you've never heard of the Heyseys and saw 84, Biollante, then this, you're like,
It was a
whoa,
repositioning,
what
right?
happened?
They're like, we want this to appeal to kids. Colorful, shootout.
Yes, adventure, time
Like-
travel, jokey. The main character's hilarious. The robot's
Yeah.
hilarious. The battles are cool, and the beams look really cool. You really had never seen beams of this capacity or at this level before. Biollante doesn't really have that many beams. Biollante uses a lot of her own attacks,
Yeah.
and Super Axe obviously. I mean, beams, but it doesn't feel the same thing as this.
Yeah, I think Omori never wanted it to make it look like two guys doing judo moves in rubber suits. So I think she tried everything he could to get away from that.
Question: who directed Mothra? Was it Omori?
Somebody else, but he did do the script for it.
Now, did that person direct also Mechagodzilla 2? Or was
I'm
it?
not sure about that.
I would like to know because that's interesting. So
Yeah,
why did
well-
Omori stop directing the films? Because this was a huge hit. What happened? Just
Well, he did write Mothra, so
Okay.
perhaps
so his
maybe
vision
just
was
burned out.
still well, possibly. This seems like it was a difficult film to make, especially I heard that the production of these films was pretty rushed actually. But yeah, what can I say?
Well, they knocked them out like one a year. But I think this was 2 years after Biollante. But after this film, they were knocking them out one a year,
right,
which is,
right.
I mean, oh
Which,
boy,
which, like I said, the Gamera trilogy commentary tracks, they really, really attack the fact that there's like almost no inspiration other than member berries after this point. So at least this film try to keep it original, try to keep it unpredictable.
They changed the origins of King Ghidorah, and then they gave them a little mechanical makeover.
Yes. While Mothra was just by the book, and Mechagodzilla 2 felt by the book as well. I thought it was just not. There's nothing really surprising about that film. You really know. You can almost predict the whole film from the midpoint or from a quarter end. You can predict what's going to happen for the rest of the film. So yeah, no, there is a special place in my heart for this film, and I think for a lot of fans too, especially the Heiseis, like because this is the one that shakes it up.
Yeah,
this is the one that goes, guys, we're going.
They're not.
Crazy.
They're like, we tried to make it serious. We tried to make it real world, but now we're gonna go crazy with it. Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's
Funny enough, I don't think Mothra ever had this. This movie had a bit more drama than Mothra ever has. Actually, at my point, like the only dramatic moment for me and Mothra is when Batra and Mothra are sort of talking to each other.
Yeah,
And it's almost a hilarious scene where they're like, it's like literally like 2.5 minutes of screen time of them going like
moths nodding at each other, having like moth sex.
What are they saying? What's going on? So and maybe the drama in Mechagodzilla 2 was, I suppose that the girl bonded with the baby Godzilla and she didn't want to lose him. And after that,
well, I guess
nothing.
the drama is like, will baby be raised by his own kind, or
the baby's afraid of Godzilla. They showed it earlier, and he sort of has to accept him. It's kind of interesting. Destroyer has that sad moment, I suppose, when Junior dies and Miki cries. Actually, a very touching scene, I thought.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This film, it has a very interesting spirit to it. A very interesting energy that I've never seen in a movie ever in my life.
Adventurous spirit, and they have the twists. Now Godzilla is the heel, destroying the country. Now he's the face, killing the monster. Now killing Ghidorah.
To be honest, if I were to choose a Heisei movie to watch with 10 people who have never seen any of the Heiseis, it would probably be this one. Because of the fact that it's just so
will not be entertained.
It's so off the wall. Like even if they hate it, they'll love it because it's just so entertaining.
You can't. Yeah, absolutely.
Like even when it's good, it's ridiculous. Even when it's bad, it's ridiculous. It is like entertaining in every sense, and I think this film is special because of that. And to be honest, a lot of people consider this. It's maybe.
I mean, this and Biollante would maybe be the biggest highlights of the Heisei series.
I think at least creatively, in terms of creative juices, it almost felt like they blew everything on this one. And the next one, like I said, the next one was basically...
next one was basically just the 1961 Mothra movie again with an extra monster.
Absolutely.
I believe it was an old dusted off script that they threw Godzilla into.
Yes, absolutely. Listen,
they were going to do Mothra solo movie for years, and they pulled out their unused solo movie script and threw Godzilla into it.
Right. No, it actually feels like Godzilla was thrown into the Batra versus Mothra plot.
Yeah.
Like, it actually feels like Mothra versus Batra. Oh, hey, Godzilla, what are you doing here? Oh, you're going to fight too? Okay.
And
they're like, okay, I got an idea for a cool final battle with a Ferris wheel. And an Indiana Jones opening. Write a movie.
Yeah, just go. You have 4 months.
Yeah,
just
4 months. You have everyone hired. Do it. Fine.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. All right, good.
If only they'd make a but like we laugh at how rushed they were, but it's also like if only they'd make a Godzilla movie a year now.
I know. Well, that's why I appreciate the Millennium films because actually, except for 2000, I love all of them.
They also did the one a year, the Millenniums.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Mega Guerres. I love GMK.
Yeah.
I like
the duology.
the duology.
It's quite good.
I really like Tokyo SOS, even though it's a pro-military film.
Not much substance to the film, but it's good. It's
I think it has a lot of good payoff scenes.
And then Final Wars. I mean, oh boy.
Okay, I think we can end it here, but I was
Yeah.
wondering, what is the emotional payoff of this film? I suppose the emotional payoff at the end is that the woman survives, the futuristic woman.
Well, it's just
she
that
saves Japan.
at some point Japan is destroyed, and the guy's saying, "You really want to save these people? They're destroyed by this lizard that irradiated waste everywhere. Got so arrogant." Like,
Yeah.
I guess it's that Japan has a future.
I guess.
Whether it's do they become that superpower that starts buying up entire countries?
But it's not meant to be. Like, you're not supposed to
know.
think about it. That's the thing. It's like they just saved Japan, and that's happy enough. And the music's triumphant.
Yeah,
It's good.
they
Credits
saved
roll.
Japan.
And look,
Godzilla
Godzilla's alive
will be
for another
back.
one. Great.
Because we love him and we hate him, but you know.
Because we love him and we hate him. And I'm confused.
Yeah. that does kind of become.
By
a
the way,
problem.
this never gets explained at all in the next
That-
few films.
That does kind of become a problem later. It's like, who am I cheering for? Now?
Well, Mechagodzilla 2 is the first time that you're actually meant to cheer for Godzilla because of the baby storyline.
Right.
And the fact that Mechagodzilla is so overpowered that, Godzilla is just such an underdog that you can't help but cheer for him. So
Yes.
there you go. And I think that maybe this film achieves that too because, King Ghidorah is quite powerful as well.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
Paul, what would you give this film out of 10 and on a Heisei scale?
Oh, I feel like I want to give it a 7.5.
I was going to say 7.5 as well, but a strong 7.5 on a Heisei scale.
It's too dumb to give it more, but it's too entertaining.
But it's
to
just
give
it's
it less.
so dumb, but it's so gung ho about how
Yeah,
dumb it is, and it's cool.
It's ready to rock.
It's ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, you
7.5.
got laser shootouts. You get a robot chasing a car.
You know what? At the end of this film, I want to see another one. That's the thing. I'm like, oh, Godzilla's back. Great. Let's watch another one. That was sick. I love the music. I love the set pieces.
Yeah.
That was fun. So, you know what? All in all, this movie did the job.
Congratulations! It did what it was supposed to do. It brought the kids back.
Yeah.
Brought the parents
Brought
back.
the parents back and made you want for another one.
And yep.
That's it. That's pretty much all a movie can hope to do, and it did it. So people like to joke about this film and make fun of it, but it really accomplished every single thing it set out to do.
Yeah, I think it made the producers quite happy.
Oh, absolutely. It created a franchise, pretty much. Because this would have been the last one, had it flopped. Let's be honest.
And after this, they didn't see King Ghidorah again until 2001. So
No,
10
Rebirth of
more
Mothra.
years. Oh, that. Yeah.
So,
that's a good point.
So
yeah.
congratulations, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. You are a official
You
success.
kept the franchise going.
To be honest, we would not have Shin Godzilla without this
They
film.
milked it for another 5 years, 8, 10 years, just because of this.
Because of this
Because of this
movie.
film. I think at the end of Bailantes, it was a bit of a question mark.
Yeah. But after this one, it was like, no. New one production immediately.
Yeah, they said we found the way. It's nostalgia. Bailantes didn't make the money. This was maybe like a last effort, like a last gasp, ditch. Like, come on, we got to pull out all stops. We got to make it crazy. We got to get people back in theaters.
Yes.
So they got them back, and because of that,
And there you go.
they found their new nostalgia
in a way,
formula.
this
and kept
could have
going.
this could have influenced GMK because why is Ghidorah even in that film? Well, remember Ghidorah was a big hit 15 years ago. Oh, yeah, or like 12 years
10
ago,
years
like
ago,
10 years
yeah.
ago. Like, yeah, actually officially 10. You're right, 10 years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah, it was. Yeah, let's put him back in this movie. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he was a hit. And we're Mothra was a big hit. Yeah. All right.
Put them both in one movie.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I should be promoted to
And
producer.
we got
yeah.
Kaneko. Oh my
Let's put 'em
god. All right.
both.
Great film. Really loved it.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.